Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting episode of I'm Hiding Behind Something. Okay, my wife has this show on, and I'm watching it with her. I don't often watch the TV, but they're talking about North Korea, and they showed something on there, and it reminded me of something, which reminded me of something else and something else. They they showed on here how in the one city they have stores, lots of stuff in the stores, lots of stuff, but it's not for sale. It's so it looks like that.
Pyongyang department store #1.
Pyongyang department store number one. So, see, what it reminded me of is when I was in college. I used to go to the Methodist Student Center. And the nice thing about the Methodist Student Center, you didn't have to be Methodist. You could be atheist, agnostic, Church of Christ, Methodist, Lutheran, Episcopal. Yeah, you could be anything. They didn't care. And they had the secretary there. Her name was Stubby. That was probably her nickname. And she was telling us one day that, I don't remember when it was that they did it, the 70s or 80s. Because I would have started college in the 80s. But anyway, she and her husband and some other people, they went to the Soviet Union and Eastern Europe. They went to East Germany. And she said you could go to the stores. There were lots of things in the stores. Lots of things. At least in the display as you walk down the street. But when you go in to buy something, there was nothing there. Or at least nothing that you could buy. John Stossel did a bit on a piece on Cuba. And it's the same thing. Where the black market works. The capitalist black market. They have what you need and what you want, but the government market, they don't have it, and it costs a lot more if they do have it. So I mean, most of the time they don't have it, but when they do, it costs more. And she also was saying when they were in Moscow, and there's no cow in Moscow. It's Moscow, not Moscow. And my dad's mom, my grandmother, had a common law relationship with a man from Soviet Union. So anyway.
No cows in Moscow. They freeze to death.
And they were in a hotel in Moscow. And they got this huge suite. I mean, this humongous suite. They paid the same amount as everybody else. It's the communist system. The other people, they get a little itty-bitty room the size of, our bedroom would be their entire hotel room. But everybody paid the same thing. Because they didn't understand, the value of goods, the value of things. Value of service, value of goods, and all that. So, they get this humongous suite. Yeah, other people in their group get these itty-bitty rooms, and they all paid the same price. It would have been rubles. I don't know what they pay now, and I don't know what the current currency is in Russia. Rocks. So, people want what they had in the Soviet Union. People want what they had in Eastern Europe. People want what they have in North Korea. Idi Amin, Pol Pot, the list goes on. And you could, of course, go with Franco, Hitler, Mussolini. Remember, fascism is a form of socialism, people. Being a Spaniard, being from Spain, I can tell you, we didn't have a whole lot. Now, it's like you watch the North Korean army, when you watch the Soviet army back in the day, and you watch the Spanish army back in the day under Franco. They have nice uniforms, really nice equipment, nice modern weapons. But that was on the TV. That was
you said about the one guy
in Spain.
They wore wool.
They wore wool. This is in southern Spain, where I'm from. They wore wool uniforms.
They must have burnt up or
but
scratched to death.
like one sleeve would be the right length. the other would be too short, or one sleeve would be too long. You know, they didn't fit right. The uniforms didn't fit right. The only time you saw what you would see in Moscow, what you see in Phnom Yang, excuse me, what you would see in Madrid, what you would see in Berlin during Hitler's time, that was for show. And that wasn't what the real people. That wasn't the way the people really lived. It just wasn't. And if you go back to the origins of fascism, you'll find that it all comes from socialism, communism. It's all state theism. That's all it is. And you want that system. It's like China. Look at China. People are not free in China. They can't just get on the internet and go anywhere on the internet they want. They don't have that freedom. You type in the word freedom on your computer in China, it'll go down. They have it all set up so it'll block things like that. Although thankfully there have been people that have gone in there and helped. You know, there are programs they can get that will allow them to actually look at things. But the vast majority of people in China live in poverty. They don't live well. You know, it's only that small elite in, you know, in any sort of fascist, communist, socialist, monarchist system where you have the small elite that lives really well, and they're really good at showing things in the magazines, newspapers, the TV, the movies, of how things supposedly are. You know, the nice uniforms and everybody has food, and that's just not the case. For those of you who are socialists, don't dare tell me that North Korea is not communist. That's exactly what happens. Look at Eastern Europe. Look at the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union fell. Look at Cuba. The vast majority of people in Cuba live in poverty. The health care in Cuba, that's not, you don't get the oh, what's that idiot's name, that fat drunk guy, Michael Moore. He took some Americans over to Cuba, and they got some really nice health care. But see, that was only for the elite and the foreigners. The vast majority of people don't get that kind of health care, if they get any. Okay? The United Nations uses the numbers given to it by the Cuban government. They don't actually go in and investigate. And the United Nations, what do I care about the United Nations anyway? I don't want anything to do with them. If anybody starts wars and causes conflict, my gosh, some of the people in the United Nations from impoverished African countries sitting on these boards get steak and lobster dinners while people in their homelands or in their home countries are starving to death. That's what you want? Yeah, that's what you want. You want this system from the North Korea, Cuba, Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam, fascist Europe, fascist South America. That's what you want. You're sick. You're just sick. There are better alternatives, people. A lot better.